Welcome back from the break. We'll be starting off with the Afcon finals, and before we do, let me quickly introduce my pundit for today, who will be helping me with the analysis for the show. So we have here Bruno, who has been on the show several times. He's actually a familiar face in our studios. And then we have yet another addition to our team of pundits. A staunch Chelsea fan. He goes by the name Gideon, aka Ogidi. He will be here with us to help with the analysis, especially when it comes to the Chelsea versus Man City match. So quickly, let's go into the Afcon finals, and what a final that we had. It's actually a host and win for La Côte d'Ivoire, which is a very inspirational story on their side, looking at all the setbacks that they had to face, to actually even get to the final and then come up victorious in all the eventualities. So I would like to move to you, Bruno. What was your reaction when the final whistle went for to end the match?
All right, so thank you very much, and we want to thank our viewers for always putting their deal here. So let's go quickly into the Afcon finals that went on last week, Sunday.
Yeah.
And Team Ivory Coast, as they said before the kickoff of this Afcon, that they want to host and win the Afcon, and definitely they stood by their words, and indeed they have proven to the world that they are people of their words. So you realize going into the final, Ivory Coast, because they were third place team, and by opportunity they had to go into the knockout stage. They really, I would say, corrected all their mistakes they did at the group stage.
Okay.
And there was determination too in the players as well. Okay. So going into the final with Nigeria, who scored them at the group stage, we realized all the players were very determined. Their spirits were high.
Okay.
So when you realize first half, when they were down by a goal to nil,
yes,
they were not discouraged. They came back stronger. We realized during the knockout stage, when Ivory Coast first met Senegal, they were down by a goal to nil. They came back stronger, won the match. They went ahead and scored DR Congo, moving them into the final. So one thing I've realized about Team Ivory Coast is that the players were determined. They were determined to win this year's Afcon. So you realize after Nigeria took the lead in the first half, when they came back in the second half, most of the players, you talk of Frankese, Edinkra, they were determined. They were all over the pitch, pressing until they had the equalizer. And that didn't stop there. They went ahead and scored the winning goal. And this has been a record for them. Last week I said Ivory Coast has not scored in the final within the 90 minutes before. But this year, indeed, they have made record. They score 2 goals within 90 minutes. The game didn't went into penalty shootout. So in all, Ivory Coast has done very well. The organizers, from the organization, it has been a very beautiful tournament. So we thank the organizers and congrats once again to Team Ivory Coast.
Yeah. So like he said, Ivory Coast has shown some level of resilience that I'm sure will go to inspire not just football cycles, but also people in other fraternities, that if you have this never say die spirit, their fans have actually named them the zombies, having come back from what was supposed to be an eviction for them from the tournament, but they managed to come back, and they did all these crazy comebacks in their knockout phases, and ultimately won the trophy. But one thing that really stands out among them is their coach, who had never had a senior team experience, but given the chance, he was able to bring them to the final, and even in the final were able to beat Nigeria, an undefeated team. So we would like to look at what worked for the coach tactically, that he was able to beat Jose Posero in the final match. Yeah. So let me come to you, Gidi, on that issue.
All right. Thank you for this opportunity to join the panel of discussion. And I will thank our viewers too for always tuning to join Pro Sports Analysis. I'll quickly delve into the match. Now, looking at the coach from the very first game after the group stages, you realize that he was more into attacking.
Yeah.
But this time around, he let the wing back stay with the defenders.
Okay.
And this helped the team even after they were down in the Mali game.
Okay.
They were still pulling. Even though the striker was not in the team very well, but they were just joining the attack from the middle to the box.
Okay.
Now, what worked for the coach very well, even though he's an interim coach, but what worked for him very well was that he loved the players.
Okay.
Now, I was reading an article concerning the coach, and now they named him to be the special one.
Okay.
Because he came out of nowhere and brought the team to the finals.
Yeah.
Now, what I think what didn't work for Jose Pozero was that he didn't really change his tactics from the group stages to the final.
Yeah.
He was still playing this 5-4-1 when they were defending.
Yeah.
So they isolated Osimhen.
Mm-hmm.
This is a prolific striker in Napoli with a lot of goals, but had only a goal in the whole of Afcon.
Yeah.
And it's quite disturbing.
Yeah.
So I think the interim coach MSFA really read the game very well. And even looking at the final game, like he gave the wing backs Edinkra a lot of chance to roam about.
Yeah.
He was freely roaming in the game, and that really worked for them because almost the 2 goals he brought about the corner and also gave their assist to Hala. So I think the coach really studied his team very well and gave out a tactics that was very, very open and clean every day, as compared to Pozero, who was stick to his normal tactics of 5-4-2 when defending, and that really inhibits the Nigerian team. So that's what I can say concerning the team.
So as you heard, Jose Pozero failed to do his homework concerning the elephants of La Côte d'Ivoire. They were actually trampling upon all the big teams they came across. Against Mali, they were the underdogs. Against Senegal, they were the underdogs, and they always make sure that, notwithstanding all the obstacles, they still came up on top. So that was something that Jose Pozero should have looked at. A team that is able to come back in all games, all tough games like that. So one thing the coach was able to do was also to bring a kind of team spirit among the players and among the fans. And you talked about the free role that he gave some of the players so that they were able to express themselves. If you look at Edingra and Frank Kessin like this, you could see that he gave them freedom to really express themselves, and I'm sure that was what actually worked positively for him. Yeah, but on the contrary, with the Jose Pozero, you could see that he was more defensive minded.
Yeah, sure.
He was more defensive minded, and in tournaments like this, of course, you wouldn't want to concede more goals. But if you have attacking talents in Osimhen, Lookman, and the rest, you could actually go in for attack and win. But unfortunately, he didn't do that, and it worked against him. So that is what you have by way of tactics, that they failed in that regard. So let's shift a bit from that, and then let's talk about the players of the tournament. The golden boots, the golden gloves, and the young player of the tournament, the coach of the tournament, and all of that. So let's start with the best player of the tournament, the Nigerian captain, William Trust Ekong. So let me come to you, Bruno. What do you have to tell us? Is he the deserved winner of that award?
All right, sure. So straight away, I'll say yes, he deserves it. So during the final, when he scored the first goal, then I said, even if Nigeria should lose the final, he deserves to be the best player of the tournament. Because you realize you hardly see defenders scoring in a big tournament like this.
Yeah.
But you realize he scored 3 goals.
Yeah.
A defender. He's mostly joining the attack when they have this set piece and corner kicks.
Yeah.
And he has been very strong at the back for Nigeria. You realize Osimhen, who is their number 9, the target man, that we are expecting a lot of goals from him during this tournament was not able to live up to expectations.
Yeah.
And this defender has been very, determined. He stood at the back, he joined the attack, scoring goals for them. So he deserves it. He deserves the player of the tournament.
The Nigerian captain really put on a very good performance at this Afcon, and it's very, very impressive to see, because for a defender like him to be taking penalties and all of that, ahead of all the strikers and attackers in the game, it tells you how much of a player he is. He's actually now, I think, the best, the highest goal scorer as a defender in the Afcon with 5 goals, and I think that is a very, very impressive feat to achieve. So let's look at the Golden Gloves. The best goalkeeper at the tournament, and the award went to Rowan. Yes, the South African goalkeeper. So is that also a deserved win, because the Nigerian goalkeeper Nwabili will also come in as a very good contest or competitor for that particular spot. So what do you have to say about that?
Thank you. I think I'll go with what the Afcon boards picked out. Okay. I think if Nwabili or if Nigeria had taken the cup, then it could have been maybe a battle between Nwabili and Williams. Okay. But Williams was very fantastic throwing their penalty shootout. I mean, he was just fantastic. This was a keeper who knew what the player was about. He didn't rush the ball. He was just waiting for the player to commit before he dives to the position. And this is what a goalkeeper is all about. You wait for your opponent to make the mistake or make a move for the ball before you show your direction to keep the ball. And I think it was fantastic. Throughout all their rounds, now he guided the defenders. I think I watched South Africa, their match. I mean, one thing I realized was he was always shouting. So he made the defenders very relaxed. Yes, he controlled his 18 balls very, very well. And he was very good in the area balls. He hardly let any ball get down in his penalty box. He would just cut it. And that even has resulted in the penalty shootout. I mean, he was just fantastic. So me, I will go with the Afcon boys. I mean, they were just true, giving the golden gloves to Williams.
All right. So there you have it. He really deserves that award, having saved a lot of penalties. I think about 6 penalties in a penalty shootout itself, and a lot of saves, in which actually helped South Africa to progress to the semi-finals of the competition. So let's look at the next award, which was the Golden Boots. I think that went to Insui. Of Equatorial Guinea. So let's hear your bit about that as well.
All right, so thank you once again. So straight away, Insui scored 5 goals.
5 goals,
which was the top
matches,
goals in the tournament. So he deserves it. But one thing that I find very disappointing is that you look at this player, Emilio Insui, is playing in a 3rd division team in Spain. That is CF Intercity. Most of us, we don't watch this league. They don't even show it on Super Sports. We were expecting, the Mohamed Salehs, the how do we call it? The Hales, the Osimhen to top the goal scoring charts. You see, these are big strikers scoring goals in Europe and in big tournaments. But here lies the case. Going into these tournaments, Mohamed Salah scored only a goal. Osimhen scored only a goal. And this striker playing in the 3rd division, topping the scoring charts, it is, I would say, very disappointing to African football when we are talking about our strikers. We want to see the big name that are performing in Europe to, do the same thing when it comes to the African terrain. So all the way, he deserves it. But
he was the only one to have a hat trick at the Afcon.
Yes, so you can imagine. So I don't know if our African keepers are not doing well or is the defenders. You understand? A 3rd division player, banging goals in here and there. So deserve it. Kudos to him. I hope you, keep it up and one of these big clubs will, sign him and he'll get better at what he's doing. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so that is very interesting. We'll move on to the next award, which went to the youngest star of the tournament, or the young best player of the tournament, and that went to Adingra, the Brighton and Hove Albion player, and he had a very impressive run at the Afcon, as you can tell, assisting 2 goals at the final and scoring a goal in the knockout phase. So quickly, we want to hear what our pundits have to say about that award as well.
Adingra. He was just outstanding.
Yeah.
Even the final, this is a young player who plays for a Brighton team. And he has outclassed many teams in the Brighton 11. Yeah. And now he has picked a spot in the starting 11. Okay. And at a big stage, people have been saying that the Afcon was watched from over 1 billion viewers. So it's in a very big stage. Yeah. And a Adingra performed these Nigerian defenders. Yeah. On that very day, he made this Nigerian feeder very. After the match, people were saying that the Nigerian defender shouldn't board the plane and come home because why should you let a young player outrun you? Having leading to the goal that led to Hala, wonderful goal. He was just outstanding. A young player. Yeah. Picking such an award at a big stage. It says a lot about his fighting spirit. He played all the matches and he showed no tiredness. He showed no I'm tired. The keeper, the referee should substitute me. It was just outstanding. Yeah. So I think he deserves that, and I think it should be a motivation to other young upcoming players that the stage is for us to shine.
Yeah. So there you have it. He was actually the best player or the player of the match for the final. So just imagine a world-class performance from him with 2 assists at the final, and of course the best player of the tournament could go to no other person but him. So we'll move straight to the best coach of the tournament, which went to MS Fai, and of course that you can't argue with that, right? Yeah, you can't argue with that. So let's hear your thoughts about him, considering how inexperienced he was coming into the final.
All right, so thank you. MS Fai, his name looks very he's indeed the best coach of the tournament. As my brother said earlier on, I was also reading an article about him, and this is how they titled the article: Unknown to Known. Within 18 days, this man has become, a hero. Everybody is just talking about him. He took the team from the senior coach, that's Gasset, for just 18 days, and he changed a lot of things. After they were defeated to Equatorial Guinea by 4-0, and they have to sack the coach, and he took over. This guy, motivated the players, because you realize that during his time where he was playing for Ivory Coast, he was one of the midfielders. So you realize most of his status were based on the midfield joining the attack, pressing, and he has given the players the opportunity to it didn't restrict most of the players to their cycle. So you realize Frankese was always joining the attack. Adingra was joining the attack. They have that free role. He was always on the touchline.
He wasn't afraid to attack.
Yes, he was always on the touchline, motivating the players, shouting on them, giving them instruction. And in fact, he deserves it. There's no competition. He deserves the best coach of the tournament, and kudos to him. I hope probably they will give him the job.
Wow.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, I'm sure of that. I'm sure, Ivory Coast will be in talks with him to maintain him as the substantive coach for the side. What he has done for them is a very great achievement. It would have cost them a lot, to actually do that. I'm not sure even if their coach, originally Gasset, Jean-Louis Gasset, has stayed, he would have even been able to, move the team to such a level. But for him to win the title with the team, that alone, speaks a lot for him. And I'm hoping that, that will just be the beginning of his coaching career, and this achievement will actually push him onto even greater height. So today we have a special feature. We have two or three players that's, performed really well at the Afcon that we want to focus on, and we are talking about their story because of the inspiration it gives out there, the motivation it pushes out there. And we want to start with one player who goes by the name Sebastian Haller. This is a player who just a few years ago, about 18 months back, was battling with testicular cancer, and he undergone treatment and all of that. And when we resumed, he had written on his boots that fuck cancer. Indeed, we can see from his performance at the Afcon, scoring the goal that pushed the Ivory Coast into the final, and scoring the winning goal as well for the trophy. We can say that indeed he has fought cancer. So quickly, we will want to hear from our pundits, concerning Sebastian Haller and the resilience that he has shown in this tournament.
Thank you very much. I think just like you said, the resilience of Sebastian Haller should be studied.
Yeah,
should be studied, because battling cancer as a footballer,
mm-hmm.
I mean, not many will return back to the pitch and fight at this high level stage.
Yeah.
And I think during the group stage, was even out with a thigh injury.
Yeah.
Was out.
So he couldn't feature in.
Yes. And to come back and join the round of 16 quarterfinals and even send your team to the finals. No, this is just it's more than resilience.
Yeah.
It is total committed to it. I think before he even came to join the camp, he was asked during an interview that will he opt to stay at the Dortmund grounds or join the Afcon. And
mm-hmm.
he asked the interviewers that, can you ask this question to any European player?
Mm-hmm.
And they were stunned, they were quiet, they couldn't answer. And he said, that is your answer. So I mean, for someone to love his country, sacrifice even after all this, and come back and join a team, and now even give them the whole cup,
mm-hmm.
I mean, that is some sort of resilience.
Yeah.
So I think he was extraordinary throughout this tournament, and he gave his all out, and he made us out here understand that even though you might be going through something, that you shouldn't stop your passion for anything that you're having, that you should just go, and even after you face a trouble, you can still rise to the highest and achieve your feat. So for Sebastian Haller, he was just extraordinary throughout, even though he had some 2 goals, but those 2 goals now have the Ivorians this cup. So he's just extraordinary. He's just extraordinary.
2 very important goals.
Just extraordinary.
And throughout the tournament, you could see that he wasn't fully fit, because there were some instances that he had some chances. You would have expected that the Sebastian Haller that we know would have gone on to make an attempt on goal, or made 1 or 2 dribbles, but because he wasn't fully fit, he will want to be at the distance and try to lob the keeper or make some weak attempt at goal. But all in all, you could see that he really proved himself at the tournament, and considering where he was coming from, even being injured at the beginning of the tournament and coming in later to join, you could tell how committed and resilient he is. So another personality that we want to focus on, we have already talked a lot about him, which is the coach of the Ivorian side, and he's proved himself at the top level. No one expected. Like you said initially, he came out of nowhere. He was only coming to assist at the tournament. So at the point where their coach was sacked, and now he had to be the interim coach to carry the team on in the tournament, a position that he has never occupied before, to manage all these high-class players that, at that top level. If you were in his shoes, what would be going through your mind?
All right, so thank you. It is a very difficult and tough task. And then, sir, you see, one thing about coaching is that sometimes if you are not this, high top coach, most of these players don't respect you. They don't take your instructions.
Yeah.
You understand? So even you can give instruction at the training ground, a player will say that this is your first time coaching. What records do you have? What trophy have you won with a team? So they do what they do. But I'm sure this coach came to the level of the players, spoke with them, advised them that this is a national affair. Let us put our, differences aside and fought hard and win the battle. And the players also took whatever he told them to heart, and they work at it. Even though it was a difficult task, just from nowhere, giving the opportunity to carry on a mission you have not started.
Yeah, and one thing that really shocked me was that round 16 match against Senegal.
Sure.
The defending champions, a very compact team. Very difficult to stand against. Everyone was tipping them to win the finals. So for them to have trashed Senegal out, it was really surprising for me.
So that is it. You realize his tactics worked for him. He was watching the game carefully, and he knows where to. And one thing I realized about him, that all his substitutions were on points.
Okay.
Every player that he will introduce to the game at a point in time, in fact, will cause a change or bring an effect to the pitch. Okay. We realized against Senegal, Frankesse and this guy, there was one guy, when the name comes to mind, I'll mention. Frankesse, when he introduced them, Nicolas Pepe, I'm talking of Nicolas Pepe. When he introduced them, by then they were down by a goal, and they were also down by one man.
Yeah.
When he introduced these two guys, you realize the attack became very sharper, and they had that penalty, took them to the they had that penalty which gave them the equalizer, and the game went into penalty shootouts, and they won. So the coach Emes Efe has been very good, has been very hardworking, very tactical, observant, and learning. So that is what worked for him. And if he will continue this way, being very tactical, I'm sure he will one day see himself coaching one of the biggest clubs in Europe.
All right. So there you have it. For every great coach, there is a beginning, and for him, this is a marvelous beginning for him. At the very start of your coaching career, senior level career, and then you've already won yourself, a title for your nation, something to be proud of, something to be really proud of there. Now let's look at Cote d'Ivoire. As we are very much aware, the president of the state was at the field to watch and even to celebrate with them during the victory, the celebrations after the final whistle went, and you could see his involvement. Even when they were lifting the cup, he wanted to be there, present with them, and you could tell what the sort of unity that has come to them as a nation. So quickly, we want to look at the impact of this victory. What the impact of this victory to the nation. What has it brought Ivory Coast as a nation?
Thank you very much. I think the impact of this Afcon, host and win, it's a remarkable feat, and it will go down in history. I think the last time they won the Afcon was in 2015 when they defeated our own nation, Ghana. So you can see, and looking at how they qualified from the group stages with 3 points, -3 goals. And Morocco had to win for them to qualify. I remember the finals, one player was running around the pitch with their flag and Morocco flag. So, a team had to win for them to qualify. And they used that as a push to win this Afcon. I think the impact will be extraordinary. Aside it's bringing the youth together, bringing the sports community together, it will also help the nation as a whole to see football on a new horizon. Because now they will see that they can get a new kind of joy, kind of happiness from sport. They will not see sport just as 22 men on the field, but as an avenue for them to come together and enjoy life. And you could see that, as you said earlier, the president was there. During the presentation of the medals, and as you said, even he didn't say it well. When they were lifting the cup, he was in the middle. He was in the middle.
Right in the
I think if he was a youth, I'm sure that he would have run with them. So I think the impact is great. I'll come back to our nation, Ghana. You see how our sport is up and down. For you to come out of this and win a cup, it will give you a huge boost from your grassroots football to the highest level. Right now
they have some stadiums, additional stadiums and
they are of high standard. You can see the final stadium is of high standard. So now I think that every youth in the nation who is aiming to be a footballer will see that no, this dream is not impossible. I can achieve. And I'm sure that if they have any international player out there and just a phone call, the Afcon team is calling you. You will come. You definitely pick the call. So I think the impact is great, and I think it will go a long way.
I think in just a few months' time, they will be having a friendly with the world champions Argentina. So that's very.
You see, the impact is just
well.
great. Yeah, very, very true.
Yeah.
It's very great.
Yeah. So yeah, football is a game that unites people, and football is uniting nations. And as we are very much aware, Cote d'Ivoire is a nation that was actually battling with how do you call it, civil wars. Up to about 2012, that's just about 13 years ago. And so for them to come together as a nation, you could see from their celebrations, how the people were united behind their team to push their team to the final. It tells you how much of an impact football can have, bringing nations together, bringing people together, uniting them and filling them with joy and whole lot of emotions out there. And we can say it's a beautiful thing. And so promoting football is something that should go on in all other countries as well, so that the world will be a happy place to stay. But one thing I would like to touch on is the infrastructure development that Cote d'Ivoire has seen, hosting this tournament. By way of the stadiums, the training centers. I'm sure it will go a long way to help the people of Cote d'Ivoire, the young talent who want to come up, like you mentioned, But another thing that really worries us as Africans is the maintenance culture. So you can see right here in Ghana, the stadiums that were built for the Canton 08, you can see that a lot of them has deteriorated. To very, very bad state. And that is one thing that I wouldn't want for the elephants of La Côte d'Ivoire. They have shown us that they are resilient and they are triumphant, elephants. So we don't want a situation where in a few years' time, these stadiums and giant infrastructure will come to be like white elephants that they are not able to manage and take good care of. And it will be a mess to the nation, and we wouldn't want to hear a story like that. So on that note, we want to take a quick break, and then when we return, we will talk about the clash between Manchester City and then Chelsea over the weekend. We'll be right back.